Yes, boxing fans, it's Big Nige here, when fists fly, and welcome to our latest Boxing Weekly Roundup. Whew, not much boxing news has taken place this week, but obviously we all know that Dillian Whyte has split with his head trainer, Mark Tibbs, after a 4-year, I'd say relationship, 4-year tenure, that would be the best way to put it. At first, when I first heard these news, I was like, ahead of the Povetkin fight, it's a big risk. But then you look at Tyson Fury's scenario where he split with Ben Davison ahead of the Wilder fight, that came off as a plus. But doesn't necessarily mean it can happen again. So I'm a bit torn between two because Mark Tibbs literally took Dillian Whyte after he's lost to AJ in 2015, and they've gone on a massive undefeated streak. In my opinion, in the last 4 years, Dillian Whyte has been the most improved fighter. He's gone from a domestic fighter to now world honours and is on the verge of a world title. So my question is, why now? I listened to an interview with Mark Tibbs, and he's basically saying it was a breakdown of lack of communication. Everyone knows that Dillian Whyte has been based out in Portugal throughout the whole of the coronavirus, basically in camp for the Povetkin fight. Mark Tibbs was actually out there with them, but the minute the date was rescheduled, he came back to spend some time with his family with the intentions to come back once a new date had been announced. Cut the long story short, there were a lot of rumours as to how he announced the news, but based off the interview with Mark Tibbs, Dillian Whyte sent, well, it wasn't even Dillian Whyte, but Dillian Whyte's lawyer sent an email to Mark Tibbs the day before the statement was going to go out that his services are no longer required. Bro, what are you doing, bro? Like, where's the respect? He's been with you, riding with you through so many ups and downs. You've had the drug scandal. You've had the constant issue with the WBC. You being mandatory and being interim champion, still not getting your title shot. But yet, you still had someone in your corner, fighting your corner, defending you. And he's been the one that's been helping you perform to the best of your ability. You've had notable wins against Oscar Rivas, Joseph Parker, Chisora #2. So why now? Like, why the change? In the interview with Mark Tibbs, also just for the record, that interview with IFL is no longer on IFL. It's been removed. So that again made me question. Dillian Whyte put out a statement saying it's been amicable the way they split up, but really, is it truly been amicable? Because the interview with Mark Tibbs has now been stripped off IFL TV. So what's there to hide? Why? My guess is Dillian Whyte's team have asked Coogan to take it down, and Coogan has done so. It's a bit shaky for me. Obviously, he's been out in Portugal training constantly for his fight. No new trainer has been announced. My guess is he's been out there with Xavier Miller, highly up-and-coming trainer, highly rated up-and-coming trainer. He was out there with him in Saudi Arabia for his fight with Marius Wack. So that's my best guess for this Povetkin fight. I don't know whether it will be a long-term thing or it might just be a short-term thing for this fight, but only time will tell. One thing I found quite interesting from the interview with Mark Tibbs, he said that he's also cut ties with Richard Riakporhe and John Harding Jr., but he holds them in high respect because obviously they had contacted him and called him personally and told him that they were no longer going to be working together. And that's the best way you should do it. That's the respect. But I sat there and thought to myself, do you know what? This is the game. This is boxing. Boxing has no loyalty. A fighter could wake up one day and say, do you know what? I want to change. I don't want to be with this trainer no more. And that's the sad thing about it, because imagine being in camp with someone for so long on countless times. You're going to build relationships. You're going to build friendships beyond outside of boxing. So for Dillian Whyte to get his lawyer to just send an email, not even in advance, but the day before the statement is coming out, It's not a good look, brother. It's not a good look. I have to admit, and I don't respect that. Me personally, if you're gonna do something right, do something right. But my only issue is, could this be a change in fortune for Dillian Whyte? Could the loss of Mark Tibbs mean when he finally gets that title shot, he comes up short? Is he either going to find someone that really understands his game and invest so much time as Mark Tibbs has invested for the big occasion? That's a question for you boxing fans. Let me know your thoughts. Did Dillian Whyte do the right thing and cut ties with Mark Tibbs? Or do you think it could come and bite him in the arse in possibly years to come, or when his career comes to an end? Let me know your thoughts, guys. Katie Taylor's opponent has been finally announced for the Matchroom fight camp on August the 22nd on the undercard of Whyte She will be fighting Delphine Persoon. For those who don't know, this is a rematch from last year at Madison Square Garden on the undercard of AJ Ruiz, where she won the fight, but in my opinion, she lost it. It was a controversial victory, in my opinion. I feel Delphine Persoon was just everything wrong for Katie Taylor at that time. I don't think Katie Taylor probably, I would say, rated her as much, even though she held that title the WBC title for such a long time. And another thing is, Delphine Persoon is actually a part-time police officer, funny enough. So, I don't know, maybe the mindset for Katie Taylor, I'm not saying this is the truth, but she's a part-time boxer, amateur, and she still fights amateur. Maybe she didn't rate her, hence that's why the fight was a lot closer than a lot of people assumed. But this time round, I do believe Katie Taylor will right her wrongs and it will be a landsliding victory. Another food for thought is, Katie Taylor, if you've watched that fight, so Delphine Persoon got knocked out of the qualifiers for Tokyo 2020 to a Greek fighter. I believe her name was, what was her name? Pitta? Something Pitta. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's something Pitta. And literally the blueprint was there on how to beat Delphine Persoon. Another presenter who I rate highly, Chris Lloyd, basically put out an analysis, and it seems as if Delphine Persoon is a one-trick pony. She doesn't seem to have a plan A. She's a very come-forward fighter, very amateur style, where it's literally 1-2, putting pressure. But providing Katie Taylor does her homework, if she constantly keeps moving to the left and slipping with the hooks and catching her, then it should be easy work for Katie Taylor that night. But like I said, she's elite level Katie Taylor. She's on the road to doing big things in the women's game. She'll right her wrongs, and it'll be a landslide. It's a shame though, because I secretly wanted to see her versus Amanda Serrano. I do feel that's probably the biggest fight in boxing history as we speak. Only Eddie Hearn and Amanda Serrano's team know why that fight didn't happen, but hopefully we do get to see it, because there's a slight little bit of a beef thing between Serrano and Katie Taylor, because for those who don't know, Katie Taylor punched up her younger sister. So Serrano's got not a chip on her shoulder, but she's got to avenge the loss of her sister, and obviously she's looking to clean up with all the titles. So hopefully we get to see that fight sometime in the near future. Live boxing returned to UK screens on Friday night. It was Frank Warren Promotions. He held a behind closed doors boxing event at the BT Sports Studios. The headline show was Brad Foster and I believe it's James Beach. Brad Foster came out victorious. That was the first time I've seen him, I'll be honest with you. And for someone with no amateur background, he looks like he's a force to be reckoned with. Check him out, Brad Foster, Super Bantam. He is the Commonwealth and British champion. But for me, the standout performer on that night was Hamza Shiraz. Big up yourself. 21 years of age, 6'1", fighting at 154. And the wickedest thing is, he's only going to get better. For someone to fight at, I believe it's light welter, I think he's very tall, so he has a massive advantage over his opponents, and he just clean with it, man. Just lands the shots, steps in, steps out, changes the angles, and he's got youth on his side. He's 21 years of age, and he's only going to get better. So remember the name, Hamza Shiraz. Check him out. David Adelaide, I believe, was also on that card that night. He, the heavyweight, he is now 2-0. Again, good to see more British young fighters, British heavyweight fighters come on the scene. Wishing all the best with his career as well. But it was a good time. It was a good undercard. It was a good show, and it's just great to see boxing back on the screens. Really, back in the UK. We've also got Eddie Hearn and his Matchroom fight camp beginning in next month, so that should be good as well. And boxing is back, guys and ladies, of course. So bring on the good times again. Bring on the good times. That's it for Boxing Weekly Roundup from me, Big Nige. Thank you to all those who have tuned in on any of our videos, commented, subscribed. We really appreciate the feedback and the support. Long may it continue. Have a blessed week. Peace.